smooth as can be. Look at this thing. Looks like it's running pretty smooth to me. People said that it would be bouncing all over the place. Look how smooth that is on grass. Now, definitely just like cleats in dirt, like this dirt here, it's going to be a little rougher, as you can see. Look at the tracks it's leaving. And then definitely on the sidewalk, it's going to be rough. Not even. I let off way early because I hit something. I let off way early because I hit something. Oh, that's a lot of rocks and wood chips. All right, welcome back. So we are on the bench trying to figure out why today at the park, you guys saw the run, yesterday's video, 74 miles an hour, and the second run I did at that park, second to the last run, diagonal, or the last run, in between the pole and the trash can from one soccer field to the other. I say in that video, I hit full trigger. I know I hit full trigger, and I haven't been able to hit full trigger for very long. And even park to park, I wasn't able to hit it for very long. And we went 73 miles an hour. And that had me kind of baffled. Because the gearing I have in this thing should be geared to the moon. You guys know we're a 30 tooth spur on a spool, not a differential anymore, and then we're a 34 pinion on a 1650 kV motor now, not a 1250 kV motor. So, with all that being said, I was like, let me look at data, see what's going on. Maybe I didn't hit full trigger. Maybe I had a voltage drop. I'm going to bring you guys down. I got the graph up of the last run. Alright, so here's the graph of our last run. I know there's a lot of lines on it right now. Let me tilt you guys up a little bit. So I have everything out on here that I want to see on. I got BEC voltage, motor temp, I got our throttle input, RPM, temperature, ESC, horsepower, current, ripple, and I didn't turn on voltage, which I probably should. We'll kick that on just to make sure our batteries aren't falling off. But in looking at this, I already know what the problem is, and I couldn't believe my eyes. So here's the last run right here. Right in here is our last run. This is our drive back right in here, but this is the run right here. So let's blow this up a little more, because all we're really concerned with is the run. So here's our run, and I've said this before, you can take the mouse and scroll along, and the mouse numbers at the top will tell you what's going on. So the first thing I did before I did anything, because as you see, 0 RPM, that's where the mouse is set. Look at the RPM. The RPM of this motor, right? 72,318 RPM. And I'm like, man, that seems like a lot of RPM. What's a 1717 motor? What's the maximum RPM on a 1717? An 8S motor? $5,600 RPM. 5,600. But we're at 72,318 maximum somewhere in this run. Well, where did we hit this? Is it a glitch? Because that's 20,000 RPM over what the motor's capable of. So the black line is our trigger. You can see right here, we're at idle. Let's see. Here I start laying onto the trigger. So right in here, and our idle is 1.5, that's a little high. Full triggers 2.003, and we're at 2.005. Somewhere in this run we hit full trigger. So I start scrolling this right here. You can see the shoot up, that's me hitting the trigger, quarter trigger, to get the RC moving. And then we start gradually, if you look at the trigger, gradually pull up. And right here, the top number is where the mouse is scrolling. We're scrolling across our throttle right now. We're already at 25,178, 25,000 RPMs. So we're rolling along, right? Right about here, we hit the second field. How I know is we got a dip. See all these dips right here? That's me coming off the trigger when it popped the little wheelie in between the pole and the trash can. But we're already at 51,406 RPM. We're almost maxed out of this 56,000 RPM motor. So here we go. Look, 53, 54, 55. You can see the blue, power out. We're at almost 80% power out. And guess what? Our RPMs are almost maxed out. But our trigger is 1.8. We're just above half trigger right here. Lay into the trigger, 1.9. We're almost at full trigger. That's damn near full trigger right there. And we're at 57,000 RPM. 57,500 right there. And I remember when it went past the pole, I nailed full trigger. So I nail full trigger, and it's going across the grass, and I'm looking at the back of it, and I'm not seeing it kick up any more dirt. I'm not hearing the RPMs go up, and I'm not seeing it really like drive away any faster. Look at our power out. We're 90% power out already. 1.9. We're at 64,000 RPM. We're still going. I'm still pushing. I'm full trigger. Right there. 2.004. That's full trigger. We're still not 100% power out. We're already at 251.0 amps out of 257 amps that we used. Our ripple's only 0.57 because the motor's wound out. The motor's just spinning its butt off. It's like, wait a second, I have no more RPM for you. You can give me all the current you want, but I have no more RPM for you. But I'm still pulling trigger. I still got a long way to go. I am now right, where is it? There, 99.1% power out of the 99.3 that we had during this run. Our voltage is down to 26.2. I've used up all the battery. Our motor temp's only at 120. Motor's not getting hot. ESC's only at 140. But I'm 70,000 RPM already. It's done. It's literally done. And yet I'm still pulling a lot. Trigger's still going up. So what's our issue? I mean, this is clear. By the time I finish with one field and I'm on the second field, we're already out of motor. Motor's wound out as tight as it can be. So it's clear as day to me, we got a gearing issue. But why do we have a gearing issue? It's like, man, I'm reverse geared already on a 1650 kV motor. Like if this was in a Limitless, this would be, I want to say 135, 140 mile an hour setup. So I'm not getting it. I'm baffled because I know that the Hoons, which are basically the size that I run, are smaller than my cleat wheels, which I'll show you. Let's go ahead and I'm going to put you guys back up. All right, so now that I got the camera up, as you see, we're still plugged in to the ESC. But if you watched yesterday's video, couple things. When I ran the 74 mile an hour run, hit the rocks at the end of it, and I was like, we're kind of out of room because I'm barely touching full trigger, and then I'm having to brake right away. So in my head, I'm like, the GPS isn't capturing it. Kind of like on road, you got to kind of count to that 1, 2, 3 mark before it actually register whatever that speed was 3 seconds ago. So when I ran the last run at the 73 miles an hour, I knew the voltage was low. That was the third full trigger pull, plus a bunch of power-ups at some other parks that you guys didn't even get to see. So I knew the batteries were low, which the data shows the batteries were low, which justifies the 1 mile an hour off. But I said that it's very shocking that with the stock wheel and the 1250 kV motor that I had in it, because remember, this thing has a motor upgrade, has a gear change, has a tire and cleat change, has a bunch of weight added onto the front. Because at that point with the stock ones, I had the stock wheels, 1250 kV motor, a 46 center diff, and the wheelie bar. And we went 76 miles an hour. Now I've considerably dropped the gearing, and as you see, it kind of says it all. So these stock tires over the cleats are literally taller, plus the expansion rate to where the stock one ended up blowing. After the 76-mile-an-hour run, we tried to do it again, and it just destroyed a tire. So we ended up going to this tire, which is a little bit smaller than this, but these didn't blow up. I had just had to keep gluing them, and we were a consistent 72 mile an hour with this. But I was by that time, having a bent motor shaft. The motor was pretty wore out, and I was chalking it up, time to do a motor upgrade. And then this tire, because it performed so well, this gave me the cleat idea. Let's get rid of the rubber. This tire hooks up so well in grass that we'll just make our own nubs out of cleats. So then you take something like me talking to RC Guy Garage, he's running that tire. Huge difference. He's running a 20-tooth pinion with a 46 spur on that tire, and he went 71 miles an hour. So today at the park, I have all this going through my head, like, man, you know, when I hit that pole, leaving the first park into the second park, and I said it in the video, I hit full trigger, I could feel it, and I can count at least 1, maybe 2 seconds before I let off. But when I pulled from half trigger to full trigger, because remember, it did jump, I had to flip the throttle to bring the front end down because I have weight on it. And these tires tend not to balloon, so they don't lift the RC up under acceleration. My theory is that this thing's skimming the grass. But if I pull from half trigger to full trigger, and I don't hear the motor change, you know, on road you can hear like that second gear kick in, like that second RPM, and it's got an extra burst of mile per hour. And when I did that pull and that didn't happen, and I'm like, man, I wound this thing out, and it came back and it was 73 miles an hour, 1 mile an hour less, I knew exactly what to look for. That's why I was like, I'm going to go check the data, probably add a cat pack and gear up. I didn't realize that the motor was topped out. Because this wheel isn't expanding at all. I know it doesn't expand, and that's the whole purpose of it, is not to blow up. I just didn't realize that this wheel, version 1, we ran a consistent 70, 71, 72 mile an hour. Look how small that is. On this gearing, with this motor, and we went 72. I went up this much in tire size and rim size, and we only got to 74. Still not near where the stock tire is. Now on this, with this combination, we went 83 on road. And this is the same size as that. So, like I tell everybody, data is very important when it comes to doing speed runs. The whole goal of building the cleat wheels is to have wheels that won't blow up. The other thing was getting this platform to be stable and consistent to run the same thing so that we can look at data and we can compare it to full trigger pulls. And that's where I'm at. So at this point, this thing needs gearing. It needs a lot of gearing. But our ripples are already at 3.16. So we got to add a cap pack. We're probably going to have to get some better batteries. These batteries are a little old, but they're falling off. They might be okay to test with for a little while longer. I don't think that these batteries are going to get us to the 100 mile an hour. But I'm truly going to have to look at this gearing and revamp what my mindset is for this gearing. This gearing on an on-road limitless definitely would be 130, 140 mile an hour. And this spur is, like I said, a 30 tooth. And that's pretty small. I run a 34 on my on-road cars. So 34, 39 is what I went at 146 on road. So I figured 34 pinion with a 30 spool, this thing should have been 110, but it's not showing it. So really got to look over this gearing. Really wanted to point this stuff out to you guys, trying to show you everything that I see. And when I'm talking at these park runs and my mind's thinking about stuff and I'm doing references to, like, man, I'm chasing that 76 mile an hour just to get back there with this wheel setup. I understand it's a slow process. We're going to hit that 100 mile an hour. Data showing us what we need to do. RC's performing very well. We can't not hit the 100 mile an hour. And I think the park I have, if I can, you know, get in between that trash can and that pole and I can run from one field to the other field, we have a very good chance of hitting that 100 mile an hour. Especially after seeing we're 76,000 RPM. And the motor's only 5,600 RPM capable. So we're spinning the hell out of that motor. Good thing motor temps are way down. That's also showing you that you're under geared for whatever you're doing. We only hit 113 degrees motor temp. That's why I love Castle Sensor Systems, is that we have all the data now. We're not guessing what the motor needs. We're not guessing motor RPM, and we're not guessing what we're feeling at the park versus what the data's telling us. So there you go. Hopefully this stuff is helping a bunch of people. Normally I would do most of this stuff off camera, but this is a journey I think everybody on the channel could possibly benefit from. Maybe not the experienced person, but definitely somebody getting into the hobby. This has taken me years to learn this kind of stuff, and now I'm showing it. So there you go. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you guys on my next video. Thanks for watching.